Welcome to Remain in the Race podcast, brought to you by 88 Live to Ride, with your hosts Ryan Havens, Daniel Hillian, and Mitch Reynolds, where we're going to discuss all things family, life, racing, and outdoors, where all glory will be given to the one who created us.
You're listening to episode 23, and man, we've got a good one. We've got a guest in the house. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. But before we jump into that, man, we got to give some love. 88 Live to Ride, Miss Debbie Bartosik and Jody Bateman. They were down in Texas this weekend supporting all their guys at the motocross race down there. So make sure to check out 88 Live to Ride. It's a wonderful nonprofit that Miss Debbie's put together to advance rider safety. And we're so thrilled to have her on board with us here at Remain in the Race. Also, we got ChiefMotorsports, and in the last episode, I told you I was going to brag on David. I will later on. I got some good stuff to give to David. But ChiefMotorsports, man, if you're needing some graphics, hit them up on Facebook. David will get back to you real quick, and they will get you some graphics coming. Also, 110% nutrition. We have Mr. AJ from 110%. He's going to be in one of our upcoming episodes. You're going to stay tuned to that. So 110% nutrition, man. If you need supplements or vitamins or different things to help get you through the day, get you through the race week, man, check them out. And then last but not least is our man, Mr. Rylan Johnson. The Rocket across from me is repping the shirt tonight. But RJR, man, they're leading manufacturer with GNCC parts. They're making their way into the TT scene. I know Rylan will be working really closely with the Keister team this year. And so excited to have all of our amazing sponsors on board. But before we get too much further, it's my favorite part of the episode. In the first couple of laps here is to bring on the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that texts me in Spanish randomly. It's the Rocket, Mitchell Reynolds. How you doing?
I do like to text in Spanish randomly, but only to you, Super
yes.
D, only to you, just to kind of keep it spicy.
I like it. Keeps
but doing good, man. I am so excited for the man sitting across from the table from me.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so here in a little bit, we're going to bring on Kevin Allen Cleveland of ATM. He's going to come on and tell us all about automated teller machines and their...
They don't make those anymore. There's only one ATM.
There's only one. There's only one. And he's right beside me. But, hey, before we jump into that, man, again, thank you to all of our sponsors. I do need to apologize. Last episode, my man Landon Williams, we were talking, and he said, hey, I know you and Mitch pretty well, but y'all were not feeling well, were you? And I just died laughing because I'd had a little procedure, and then I got like deathly ill with something. Mitch was battling a headache, and Remy was having a meltdown, and so we had a great episode with Damien.
Well, I was thankful that Damien came on and gave us some good content, but there was no doubt about it. I hope you guys that hung with us didn't just completely fall off the wagon in that last episode, because Daniel and I were trying to stick to the schedule, and we were definitely struggling through that one. We made it happen. I thought I was muting my mic more than I was. Remy was wanting Dad in a pretty bad way, but hey, we said we were going to be real here on the podcast, and that's real dad life right there.
That is, yeah, absolutely. And so Mitch was like barricaded in the pantry, trying to record. I started the podcast like with a beanie and a sweatshirt and sweats, and then I guess my fever broke, and then by the end of it, I was down to no shirt and sweats. I mean, there was something going around the Hillian house and the Reynolds house.
But we came out on the other side of it.
We did. We crossed the finish line. It was great. But again, thanks to Damien, man. He was so cool to give us some time, and it was cool to catch up with him and just kind of hear about his life and things going on. He's rocking the dad life now.
He is.
And
speaking of dad, I want to give a shout out to his dad. In the moment, I think we quickly look over the people that have helped us the most, but he didn't give a shout out to his dad, Keith King. But I know that he is a big part of getting Damien to his point. I mean, he's the one who got him into racing and has kept him there for 20 years. But it's oftentimes it's easy to kind of look past those people who've kind of been our rock and in our corner the whole time for all the people that have been helping us out. But Damien there doing the concrete work, staying physically fit in that way. Man, just a really good dude, and I'm looking forward to what the future has in
I
store
do
for
too.
him.
I'm excited to see those cane brake quads getting out front with him and his brother Tyler King. It's the EDT series, man. Is going. I think in the past it's kind of been, call it what it is. I mean, it's been the Brad Riley show. I mean, he's put in the work. He's a fantastic rider. He's got great racer. All the things. Everybody knows this. But I think Brad's going to have his hands full, and he knows that. I mean, he's an intelligent rider. He knows, and so I know this offseason he's been putting in the work too. But man, I think we're going to have. I hope we have multiple winners, and clearly Damien knows how to get to the front.
Absolutely,
and mix it up there with CJ.
Aaron. I don't think it's a question of. Or you said I hope we do. I don't think it's going to be a question.
Yeah.
I think Brad's on notice.
Yeah.
He has had some serious consistency over the years, but man, he has got 3 or 4 guys, I think, that are going to pressure him week in and week out. And we know he's got the racecraft, but I think all of these guys are kind of coming into their own. Yeah. They've hit that level of maturity that it takes. He's kind of had that maturity on them, but I think they're reaching that point, and I think the person who has reached that point the quickest is going to be the champion at the end of this year. So I really think we're going to have a new champion in the Indy world.
Ooh, you heard it here first, and we'll do a little more review as we get closer. But hey, man, speaking of that, and again, thanks to Damien, but we are within a month of our first Builders Brawl.
All right.
That's coming up.
Keister's coming
month.
up.
Yeah, we're going to be hanging out with, I almost said Damian Keister.
No, two different guys.
Yeah. 2 different guys.
Yep.
Hanging out with Keister Racing and our fellow Arkansans up there in Harrison. And, man, I'm really excited about it. I know Ryland's really excited, too. I know he's been working with them.
Is Ryland going to do our setup?
Paducah's not that far. We need to check the schedule as far as GNCC. That's kind of home base for Ryland. But we're getting word from a grandstander that Ryland will be there. So that's exciting.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah. And that's always fun. The beginning of the season, you get to see everybody's new builds and new quads and new color schemes and new gear. I got some new gear in the mail.
In the TT world, how many different colors of neon can you have?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The neons will be shining bright.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it. And so, man, we got a lot of good things coming up. But, hey, we're getting into this thing. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to catch our first little pit stop here. We got to grab the IMS tank, dump some fuel in real quick, and we're going to come back with an interview that you are going to love. So stay with us. We'll be right back. 88 Live to Ride is a nonprofit foundation invested in the protection, education, and safety advancements for all riders involved in ATV racing. One way you can support Miss Debbie Pard-Tosic over there is to log into smile.amazon.com when you're making all your purchases there and select 88 Live to Ride as the nonprofit you would like to donate to. Again, that's smile.amazon.com and 88 Live to Ride. All right, man. I have personally been looking forward to this. I know Mitch has as well. But we have the one and only Kevin Allen Cleveland is with us tonight. Kevin Allen, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Daniel. Great to be here. Appreciate you guys calling me and saying, hey, we want you on the podcast. And I'm just I'm ready to get it going and glad to be here.
Yeah, man. It's so cool because I know we started this a year ago, and it's just crazy how far we come. Oh, I need to throw this out there. Both of you guys know. But in Ryland's episode, he talked about an influential guy in his life named Jathan Seal. after that episode, Jathan called me. And so we've got to get back in touch. He texted Mitch, and then he called me, and we were talking. He said, hey, Mitch didn't answer me. I said, well, Mitch has a real job. He's working on people's upper extremities over there at the Conway Regional Orthopedic Surgery Hospital and Cadaver Lab. And so...
Something like that.
Something like that.
Okay, so yeah, Jathan texts me. He texts me, Mitch Reynolds. And I'm like, do I respond to this? Yes, that's my name. I'm like...
Block spam.
I'm going to call him back, but I didn't know the number. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to shade him. It was just odd. It was in the middle of the day, and it's like Mitch Reynolds. And I'm like, oh, it's like somebody wanting a personal consult. I don't know if I'm supposed to message back to this or what.
Is this the IRS?
His answer was yes.
No, my answer was, you didn't even get the 3 dots. Because I was just like,
I didn't even leave you on red. But anyway, so Kevin Allen here is with us. So Kevin Allen, before we jump into all the racing stuff, like, tell me about your family. So you grew up, you're an Arkansas guy for the most part? No, y'all just tell me from the get-go. Like, just who's your family? We'll start there.
Okay, so I was born in Florida. And,
Floridian.
Yeah, and as my dad likes to call it, Floridian, but that's beside the point. But I was born in Florida, and then they chased the harvest. They were fruit pickers, and so we run from Michigan to Florida doing that kind of thing, and stopped at Arkansas to pick some apples, I believe. What?
Pick apples,
yeah. And mom and dad were like, this is it. This is it. This is where we're going to stay. And that's where I started school. And my mom said, we ain't leaving. So that's where we've been ever since.
Gotcha. So now you've got a sister too. Was she born in Arkansas? Or
was not. She was born in Michigan.
Born in Michigan. Okay.
So Florida, Michigan, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And now they're not native to Arkansas, but you're Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've lived here long enough, yeah. And so from that, grow up, graduate, meet the love of your life.
So that's a story in itself. My wife is wonderful. I'm married way above my head. Mm-hmm. And I was going to actually get into this, but since you brought it up now, we'll just go now.
Okay.
So how I met her is she's one of my sister's friends. She graduated with my sister. But one day I walked in and she was sitting at the bar with my sister, and the conversation basically went, do you have a boyfriend? And she said, no. And I never said another word. I just turned and walked out. And it went on, rocked on a couple of weeks later, and then my sister goes, hey, she's got a boyfriend. And I'm like, she got one apparently at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, well, no big deal. And so it rocked on there for about another month and a half or whatever. And my sister was like, hey, her boyfriend, she don't have a boyfriend no more. I'm all like, oh. So I walked in. She was sitting at the same place at the bar, and I said, hey, you still with that guy that my sister said you was with? She goes, nope. I said, okay. I turned around and walked out.
Playing hard.
I am good with the lady. No, I'm just kidding. My game is way off. And so finally my sister was like, hey, look, she likes you. I know you like her. So how about we just get you guys together? So that's what we did. And it's history from there. I mean, I love her. I mean, I already know I couldn't do life without her. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Got 2 wonderful kids.
Yes.
Got
so your wife, Amber.
Mm-hmm, Amber, yep.
And then kids, Connor and Sadie.
Yep.
Connor's a racer.
He is.
And I think...
Who runs it to the rev limiter.
Mm-hmm. He does that.
I love that Connor. He runs it up there. So.
Yeah. You can definitely tell when Connor's going into a corner because it's pinging.
Yep. Yep. And Sadie, she actually raced one race. On her little Polaris 50 that she's got. And,
nice.
But after that, she was like, I'm pretty much done. I'm going to go play Barbies. So
okay.
I got overrun by Barbies. So.
Yeah, well, that's all right. So, we'll family and stuff will come up more as we go through this. But so at the top I mentioned was talking about ATMs, but you work on 4-wheelers. Your business is ATM. So tell us, what is that and what do you do?
Well,
Monday through Friday with that. Let's start.
Yeah, Monday through Friday. Well, right. And like I said, I'm pretty much there. Definitely Monday through Friday. Get to shop around 7. Try to close business around 5. But I'm there way past that. Most of the time till 10 o'clock, most of the time at night.
Right.
Just depends on what's going on, what I'm doing. I know there's family time involved in that, and Connor comes over to the shop. He hangs out for a little bit, and then we try to get home so we can spend a little time before they go to bed.
Well, I know he does because the last cross-country race we went to, I came over a couple days afterwards, and Connor handed me a sack, and I said, "What's this?" He goes, "That's all your gear." And I said, "Why do you have my gear?" And he said, "Well, I grabbed the wrong bag, so I just washed it for you." And I'm like, "Hot dog, Connor! Thank you so much for that
cleaning service." Yeah,
the four-wheeler is right back there. I'll bring it over to you. Yeah. No, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so ATVs, side by sides, dirt bikes, no jet skis, no lawnmowers, no motorcycles. So,
well, that is funny because one of our buddies, I know for a fact, because I talked to him at church this morning, you legitimately fixed his lawnmower Saturday.
But side note, Kevin Allen's saying he doesn't work on lawnmowers.
Yeah, if you're in Central Arkansas and you need your lawn, don't call him.
Don't.
Well, a short story with that is my dad's, we got his lawnmower out 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice zero-turn lawnmower. Mm-hmm. And I get it out in the front yard and we're mowing with it. And I'm like, oh, this thing's awesome. I was like, we didn't even have to winterize it or whatever,
mm-hmm.
nothing. And I'm on it and I mow 5 or 6 strips and all of a sudden it just dies. It's been that way literally ever since I was on it and I got off of it and it ain't ran since. So that tells you how much I work on it.
Oh, okay.
Hey, hold on. Before we get too far, I just want to give my take on Kevin Allen and Amber here. So, Kevin Allen approaches her, "Hey, do you have a boyfriend?" So she thinks, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a boyfriend, and maybe, rather than walk off, he might stand around and talk to me. Mm-hmm. She tried that for a month or something. That didn't work.
Right.
And so he comes back the next time and walks away again. So thankful for your sister.
Yeah.
Kevin Allen.
My sister was a matchmaker, that's for sure.
I agree. I'm happy with her because the first strategy that Amber had just didn't work out. In the end, it worked.
It did.
But anyway.
No go there. So with the business, it's all-terrain motorsports.
I'm the only ATM in the world you got to pay.
That's true. That's right. Wow.
Is that your motto? That's his motto. He just flew right over it.
Most ATMs give you money. I take it.
That's right.
Take your money.
That's right.
But if you have a lawnmower that doesn't run, I'll take your money and won't get your lawnmower.
That's right.
Wow,
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
And so, let's jump into the whole quads and ATV talk. But Kevin Allen, do you remember? This is something we always like to ask people. But do you remember your first race?
Yes, and you guys are actually going to freak out, but I didn't actually start racing until I was 16.
Right. Okay.
17.
So when did you start riding quads? Let's back up to there. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Very beginning, I had my first crash, or I was told I had my first crash when I was 2. My mom and dad were actually on a DX 225 3-wheeler. Mm-hmm. They were climbing a hill.
Yamaha?
And Yamaha. Mm-hmm. And they were climbing a hill, and it went to flip over backwards, and my mom just was and threw me over into the weeds. Now, safely. I mean, she looked before she threw me, but she was like,
"There's some sticks!"
So apparently that was my first accident I had. But after that, I mean, I was I think 3, and I was riding the ATC 90, and I was waving at the camera because they were taking pictures and hit a tree head on. So yeah, that was good.
So you're always for the show.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
what. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but that's a little bit of the freestyle world. Huh?
Always.
Right.
But no, I grew up on 3-wheelers. That's where I was raised. That's where I really like ATCs. And I just enjoy riding them. Now, I've got my son on one before, and he's almost crashed his brains. I'm like, we're not riding 3-wheelers no more.
Yeah. There's a reason they quit making them.
Yeah. So, but no, I grew up on them, and then I went to a Yamaha 80. I had I don't know if you call it a Champ, but that's kind of what looks like a little Moto 4.
Yeah.
And I had that, and we rode the wheels off that. We wore it out so bad that you had to push start it. And I've got a huge ditch. So we'd push it out there and then push it down the ditch and get it started so we could ride it.
So how about the automatic edition, the Breeze? You remember
Yes.
I had a buddy that
I've worked on a bunch of those
with the balloon
breezes.
tires.
Mm-hmm.
So just literally like 2 blocks from where we're at right now, I used to spin on the breeze, and it was so cool. You hit a terrace and you get like 5 jumps out of one with the balloon tires.
And the faster you go, the skinnier they get.
Oh,
except the breeze didn't go fast.
Yeah, the breeze, the fast for the breeze was like 27 miles an hour.
So I got to lean on Mitch here because after the little Yamaha, I always knew that I wanted to get frequent flyer miles on 4-wheelers. That's just what I like to do.
Okay.
So I got a Timberwolf.
Whoa!
Yeah, so we went up from an 80 to a 250, and the first ever jump I ever jumped was 30 foot on a Timberwolf.
Nice.
Oh boy.
I about broke a leg.
Yeah, and all the suspension.
Yeah, but
well, did it have any?
no, not
Nah,
much,
that's good.
not much, not
Yeah.
much. But I did make it. Like I said, about crushed springs out. But my dad was like, "Okay, no, this ain't gonna happen. We're gonna have to get something better." So he went out and bought 2 brand new 400EXs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, wow.
And
All
this
right,
was
now.
in '99.
Okay, so before you go into that brings me up to my next question. So you had some childhood friends that really drove that competitive nature and to that first race. So who were those guys, and how big of a role did they play in getting you to that first race?
Okay, so the very first one is Bud Friedrich.
Yeah.
That dude is like an animal on a 4-wheeler. I mean, the first time I ever saw him ride, I was just like, we got an inside joke. He's a Jedi. That's what we call him. He rides with the Force.
Well, I can attest to this because we did a cross-country race, local Arkansas Series cross-country race. Me and him rode, same class. He hasn't rode in 5 years. And granted, I hadn't been on a quad since the last cross-country race in like September, but I've got a whole season of podcast of me racing, okay? And Bud comes out, and I got the whole shot on him, and I thought, okay, I just need to put down just a few good laps, and he'll get tired. I was about to say 30 minutes, but it was sooner than that. Cross-country race is a couple hours long. I bet 10 minutes he's knocking on the back door. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so then I thought I was riding fast. Well, he mows down 9 trees, and I was like, oh, we're going that speed. Okay. And he beat me. There's more to the story, but I do agree that he does ride with the Force.
Now, was this when you were on his quad racing him?
Yes.
I was on his practice
You
bike.
were on his practice bike racing him. He's schooling you. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, you got set up for failure right then already.
Yeah. Now, in my defense, I did get punted off the track by a utility 4-wheeler that let Bud around, Jedi, the Force again, and then they didn't know I was back there, and I tried to sneak through, and the front tires made it, and the back ones didn't, and my front tires had some, the toe end would have been towed out about 6 miles. So it's kind of hard to go through the woods when one wheel's turning to the left and one turning to the right. Anyways, but back, we're getting off track. Back to Bud.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I hung out with him. Actually, I've known him ever since I was 4 years old.
Right.
My dad actually taught him how to drive a big truck.
Right, because Bud's family has owned
Double Springs Grass Farm.
Double Springs. They sell sod and blueberries and strawberries and pecan. I mean, they've kind of done it all, and so that's how his dad and your dad is what got you and Bud connected. And y'all live you could throw a rock and hit each other's house. I mean, pretty
4
close.
miles.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is very cool.
So basically, my dad is just another dad figure to Bud. I mean, they've known each other. Anytime we see each other, hug each other, laugh, cut up, whatever. But when I was growing up, it was wherever Bud was, I was. If somebody was needing to get a hold of me, if they could not get my cell phone or whatever, they couldn't reach me, they'd call Bud, and Bud would be like, "Here, come down. There's for you." So yeah. So, but no, that dude. So he had. Let's see. He rode a Timberwolf. He had a Suzuki 230 when he first rode. He blew it up several times. Had a Timberwolf. He went through 2 or 3 Timberwolves, and then got a Warrior. And he was racing a Warrior, and he put screws in his heel on a motocross track on a Warrior. But that's for another time.
Right.
So we went through the Warrior stage, and then up to that point, like I said, he's always been fast. He's rode with fast guys, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get a 4-wheeler. I'm gonna ride with him. I'm gonna do something. I got to get a 4-wheeler. So my dad goes out and buys these 400EXs, and as soon as we buy it, I pull it out on the road in front of the house, and I call Bud and I said, "Bring your Warrior over here." I said, we want to drag race. I'll blow his doors off, and it's the best feeling in the world because he's always killing me. He's always smoking me. And so I blow his doors off, and of course, I can't say anything. I've got at least 50 more cc than this guy. Right. But it just felt so good. And he, by that point, he's just mad because he's got, his Warriors got some stuff done to it, pipe and all this stuff, And but it's just hilarious because he was like, I got to get another four-wheeler. And so he rode a 400DX. He rode my dad's 400DX for a while and he got used to liking it and stuff like that. And he went ahead and just bought a Raptor. First Raptor in the state of Arkansas. He bought it. 2001.
He went from the war turd to the rap turd.
That's it. And that guy when he got on that Raptor, of course, we done a lot of work to it. But man, he was so much faster.
So you dudes were riding Yamahas before Yamaha was even popular. If y'all know what.
Yeah.
If y'all have ever seen the Days of Dirt or something like that, they called it Yamaha the first time that came over.
A piano company.
Wow. So y'all just kept it in the family on the Yamahas.
So when I first met Bud and Kevin Allen, our mutual friend Ryland's dad, Mark Johnson. Y'all bought parts from Mark. We bought parts from Mark. But there up the gap.
Yep.
We bought parts from Mark, and we all went trail riding together one time. And we show up, and Kevin Allen in 10 minutes has 2 flat tires. In 30 minutes, Bud had put a brand new skid plate on this Raptor, and it was already ripped off, and he just chunks it in the woods, mad. And at one point, we came up to this huge, big uphill, and Bud rides up and locks the brakes up and slides up beside me, and I'm 10 years old riding a scrambler, this giant scrambler, and he rides up beside me and he goes, hey, man, just go fast. And then he just disappears up the hill. And I was like, oh, go fast. And then we get to the top, and it worked. Just go fast, and you'll get to the top. Then we get to the top, and I'm looking down this thing, and he slides up again. He's like, hey, man, just go fast. And then just the Raptor's just gone. And I'm like, where'd he go? And then you hear, brah, brah, brah. Oh, okay, go fast. And so to this day, we still laugh about just go fast.
Just go fast.
But so you and Bud have grown up together. You're 400EX in it. He's rap turding it. And then that leads, y'all are so Bud's a little bit older, a couple years older than you. Mm-hmm. And so y'all are like, you know what? We've rode all these trails. We've built some jumps. Let's go race.
Yep. Yeah, we actually, I basically had a compound at my house. I had all kinds of crazy off-camber, basically like a 60-foot tabletop, and every place that you could hit it on the tabletop, I had a jump
like you just hipped it every direction.
Everywhere, everything on it. And then I actually had jumps across the tabletop that you wouldn't even touch the tabletop and land. And then a set of doubles down the side of it. And then, I had all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's all I did. And then as far as balance and learning how to keep a quad, straight and making it work, I'd ride wheelies down the highway. I've got a video of me riding a wheelie for 2 miles and never shutting it down. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if I could go to the salt flats, I'd probably run out of gas. But but either way, so we get together and I told him, I said, I'm going to start racing motocross. And he said, well, I'm going to race woods. And I said, well, I'm going to get you to race motocross with me first. And I said, then I'll go race the woods with you. Mm-hmm. So we started going to a local track there at Cleburne. I guess it was Cleburne County Raceway is what it's called, Heber Springs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they had it. I don't know how long it had been open before I actually started going, but it's been there for a long time. Yeah. And so we showed up there, and like the first time that I went, I got my butt handed to me. I think that's my first race. I showed up, and I'm like, I think I got 4th or 5th or something.
So, and this is 400EX,
400EX.
Okay.
All stock, everything's stock on it. Just had a pipe. That's it.
Stock tire,
stock suspension,
hey,
everything.
But compared to the Timberwolf,
that
baby was a Cadillac.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
My dad was like, you didn't break your teeth out on that thing. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so we showed up, and then, of course, I'm racing guys like Jim Collins and Garland Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so these guys are, at that time were fast. And we're racing this 400EX, and then
JD Performance A-arms, Axis shocks.
All the things. We're running DG front bumper and DG Nerf bars and
Dollar General.
Yeah. So and nothing against DG. That stuff it worked. It just it was just all stock stuff that you get from Honda, and they just
the small man philosophy works.
Hey man, it kept me on the 4-wheeler, and then I didn't crash, and my leg wasn't underneath the tire every time I went around the corner. So. But yeah, no, we had a blast with that, and then Bud raced the motocross with me, and I don't know that Bud ever beat me on the motocross track, but I don't know that he ever really considered that racing. He was just kind of there because I wanted him to be there. But when we got to the woods, like I said, Jedi. I mean, that dude, I couldn't even keep him in sight no matter how fast full. He could be on tricycle and he'd still smoke me. I mean, it just, he's that fast in the woods. So
start racing some motocross, and that was kind of, home for you, the motocross world. I know when I got to meet you, it was like, oh, Kevin Allen, the motocross racer, or whatever, And
hey, now hold on. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
So you should see you heard the tone in his voice. The look on his face was worse. When you pump your chest and you say, "Yes, I'm a motocross racer."
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I am not.
Yeah. And you got two motocross racers in the room. Read the room, Super D. Yeah. Okay.
Know your audience, man.
Yeah.
We're motocrossers, right. Baby.
Okay, so for the motocrossers in the room, specifically you, Kevin Allen, do you have was there a season or a best memory, kind of back during those days? Was there that one season that you were just unstoppable? I mean, what's kind of your biggest takeaway from that?
Well, we raced the 400EXs for about 2 years, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we put stuff on them to try to make them go faster, make them 416, stuff like that. Never could do a whole lot with them. And this guy showed up to the track with a Cannondale.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what is that?
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's about to blow up.
It does. Yeah. It sounds like a bucket of rattling bolts. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I own 7 of them. I still have 7 of them right now.
Yeah.
Do any of them have Nax Racing graphics on
them? One may have.
Okay, because that's when I think Cannondale. Those two are synonymous with one another.
Well, I had Nax on all my 400EX though too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
being like a Keith Little was the man to me, and Keith and Greg, they're affiliated with Nax, and all I wanted was a Nax sticker.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Nax sticker.
Put that on there, you gain 5 horsepower.
Absolutely. Dana Creech was part of Nax.
Yes.
Too, so.
Oh my gosh. Yes. All those guys. Yeah.
I looked up to that guy so much.
So the Cannondale. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cannondale. Yeah. So we get on the Cannondale, and this is the time that basically what you would call. And I guess prior to that was what we used to call free ride. So we just go out and we just rode.
Yeah.
No matter what we were doing, we were just doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, when I got on the Cannondale, it got a little more serious because, of course, Dad spent a lot of money on it. We got it. It was all set up, ready to go for the rider we bought it from.
Oh.
I personally have never had a quad ATV that has ever been set up for actually me. Mm-hmm. I've always just bought stuff and just rode it.
Right.
So... we bought it. Axis shocks, Lone Star A-arms, Lone Star axle. I mean, it had the best of the best stuff on. Grading pipe, grading Nerf bars. I mean, it was the best of the best at that time. And we showed up to the track, and I just go out hauling. And I mean, there's nobody that could catch me.
Well, the thing that made the Cannondale so awesome, it was fuel injection. It was because the limit was 440. Well, it was 440. The thing would rev out to like 12,000 RPMs, into a 400EX. It would just take a poop on them.
It's it.
They were so good for what they were, man.
They were way ahead of their time.
Yeah,
in all honesty, we're kind of hating on them a little bit, but they were way ahead of their time.
Well, and that is the thing.
Technology.
What you're talking about, the RPM stuff. When we took off from the line, I can remember it like it was yesterday. Took off from the line and going into the first corner, I mean, you just watch guys just disappear because I could stay in one gear and just rev it on out to go into the corner, So it was definitely way above their time. I mean, it ran super good, but we got it, and it was freestyle was a big thing for me. We built a 7-foot tall, 18-foot long freestyle ramp.
Yes, still have it. Yeah,
still have it.
Yeah,
still have it. Still set up. We started doing tricks off that. You got, all the famous tricks. Now, I've been wanting to do a backflip forever, and I just never got around to that point. But all the other stuff is...
Never got around to it.
Never got around to it yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Considered it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we did all that. But anyway, I raced, won a championship at the local track, and then decided I wanted to hit Loretta Lynn's. So, I went over and raced it.
Pro class?
Yeah, sure, signed right up. No, I signed up for the B class, and this like I said, it kind of gets a little foggy because I've had a few crashes since then. But I signed up for the B class, and I don't know how many riders in there, but there was a bunch. Like we had to qualify for the main event.
Oh yeah.
And I qualified for the main, and then I think I either come out in 10th or 12th overall at the end. So not terrible, but I just remember getting done racing, and Bud was like, "Hey, I'm headed to the house." I'm like, "I'm riding with you," and I was out, and I stayed asleep all the way till we got home. So I was pretty wore out, but I mean that track was brutal. I mean I've never rode anything like that track in my entire life. It was, and I'm sure you've rode it, so you know.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you see a lot of. And I remember just experiencing this back in the day. There'd be some local guy, and they even talk about this like in the motocross world. Like they'll go to certain tracks, and there's locals that ride that track. They'll top 10 a professional motocross race. But if they go to any other track, you know, they just don't know it, you know. And we kind of joke about some of the tracks and, you know, growing up, you know, when you ride something over and over and over and over, you learn that one really, really, and you learn all the tips and tricks and how to go around it. But when you have to go learn a whole new place, it's a lot tougher, you know. And so that it's one of those things that it makes you realize the guys at the top just how good they are. Yeah. And I'm sure you were like, oh, these guys are for real.
Yeah.
Well, and this was in a day too, like you're talking about, Kevin Allen, when the CBA class, you're having 50, 60, 70 guys sign up for a class. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, only a very small percentage even make the Moto 2. I mean, you're qualifying and running LCQs the whole time. But on another side note, and Daniel, just to kind of give you a little insight in the motocross world a little bit.
Yes, I have no idea. Please fill me in.
So the track shapes up so different. You know, I mean, you could seriously spend months on end at a track motoing with a handful of guys, you know, and letting the track deteriorate, or what you think deteriorate is. And just moto on a rough track. Then they groom it up, and the national comes in the next weekend. Nothing the same, right? Because 10 quads doing 30-minute motos a couple times a day for weeks is nothing compared to 300 or 400 quads on it constantly. Like just the amount of earth that's moved. I mean, the tracks just are totally different. So to kind of speak to Kevin Allen, we're talking Loretta's back then would be 1,000, 1,100. Entries, and so the track would just it was more hard packed, so it would stay together better than some tracks. I would say it was middle of the road as far as roughness is concerned, but it would still deteriorate. Every motocross track deteriorates with that amount of quads on it. I think even dirt bike guys and people like that are kind of just shocked at the amount of earth that our quads and those tires can move. So a little bit different than TT world, The TT track does groove up different with people on it, but it more closely correlates, lap after lap, even though it grooves up different. But motocross track, it's like totally different. So
to add to Mitch's deal, we were talking about how the track kind of deteriorates. Well, they've got bad braking bumps, like coming off the fastest straightaway on that track. And just a side note, is a little story that I come through on the Cannondale, which I watched Jackie Meadows. Me and my dad were sitting on the fence, and he come down that straightaway and just wiped his brains out. And I'm like, my dad looked over at me and he said, "Do not do that." And I said, "Noted, I will not do that." Well, I get out for practice. First thing I do is come flying down that straightaway, and I hit the same braking bumps. The Cannondale pitches in the air, and I'm riding a nose wheelie on the front two bumpers there. They've got these flaggers on stilt seats, like they've got stilts that are 4 or 5 foot high, and they're sitting on the chairs, and they're flaggers. So I pull a nose wheelie off the track. He's sitting about I'd say 20 foot off track. I'm riding a nose wheelie off the track towards him. My helmet's kissing the front bumper, and my feet are straight in the air. I never lose it. I never wipe out. I drive all the way to him, and I'm missing by 3 inches, and pass by him, set it down, spin around, and get back on the track. So,
and he's like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. He jumped out of the chair. He thought I was going to take him out.
Too.
Yeah,
he was like, "These quads are much different than a dirt bike."
Yes,
because they were.
So that was almost a bad get off right there. But I saved it and got back on track. But it was a blast. Had a lot of fun. It was super hot.
Oh yeah.
Because it was in August. So it was ridiculous. But we had a blast. We had a lot of fun.
Here at Remain in the Race, we're happy to be partnered with ChiefMotorsports. is top-of-the-line graphic design. You can find them over on Facebook at ChiefMotorsports for all your graphic needs.
So you go from, so when our paths really crossed was in the cross-country world. And again, Bud, a mutual friend of ours, he's a part of Ryland's story, he's part of your, whose story is Bud not a part of? But
Bud's not a part of mine. I mean, I know he had Twin Creeks, but I feel like Bud's my dude.
Yeah.
Like, I need to spend some time with Bud.
You need to. Yeah.
He's rode your track. He's been there. Yeah.
I know he's been there.
I went there once.
I just wasn't, I wasn't closely linked with Bud, but I want to be. Bud, hit a brother up.
So we Kevin Allen, yours and our paths really cross, and where our friendship really took off was in the cross country world. So this would have been late 07, 08. And so what happened, like what made you kind of hang up the motocross boots? And you were still the motocross guy. I'm sorry, guys. You're still
well, no, hey, I thank you for you're being much more respectful.
You're welcome. Yeah.
That was not respectful.
Better tone. Yeah. Better tone.
Yeah. So you go from the motocross world and then you jump into the woods. So what led to that? Was it the track closing at Heber? Because it did eventually close down. And I know for us, kind of the TT scene kind of had run its course, and that's what drove us to cross country. So what got you into the woods?
Okay, so let me jump back just a hair.
Oh boy.
So at Mitch's track, Twin Creeks, they had a freestyle exhibition that come there. That was the only time that I ever showed up to that track.
That's sad. It was amazing.
I know, because I beat myself up all the time after I figured out how fun TT is. But so I showed up there, and John
Gunter,
maybe that was his last name. Danny Creech didn't show up.
No.
Riggs. No,
it wasn't Riggs.
No, it
wasn't Riggs.
Gooter or something like that.
But he showed up.
John Glotta. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
he podiumed at GNCC last week.
He showed up. They had the ramp set up, and I don't know if you guys did that or they did all that. They set all their stuff up or not. But
I just raced. My parents were in charge of all that. Okay.
So anyway, I show up, and that's the only thing that I heard from the whole race was there was going to be a guy do freestyle, and everybody's like, "We're going to watch TT race." I'm like, I don't care anything about that.
Yeah.
Not to be mean. I just didn't care anything about it.
Motocross, baby. It's freestyle. You got to hit jumps.
Yeah. So we get there, and Bud's like, I'm gonna go over here and talk to, and you guys were there. I'm sure he was talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna hang out. I'm sitting here watching this jump. I'm looking at this ramp. I'm checking all the measurements. I'm looking to see how far the gap is, and I'm like, I'm gonna hit that. I was like, I wish I'd have brought my forward. I'd have hit that. And so I get to talk to the guy, and I'm like, all right. Only question I want to know: what's the easiest trick you can do? He said Superman. I said, you're a liar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was like, there is no way that's the easiest trick in the book. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, the Superman is the easiest trick in the book.
I disagree.
Okay.
Another story.
I think the hill flicker is.
Easiest trick.
Daniel had never left the ground, so he
has.
So timeout on Kevin Allen. I have one jump and one freestyle story to my name. We went to the Little Sahara Desert.
all in the same
time.
Okay.
So Kevin Allen, the motocross freestyle guy, me, Bud, Kevin Allen, and Ryland go to the Little Sahara.
Just go fast. Be confident in yourself.
Yes.
And
all the things. Kevin Allen told me for years, just jump back. Just jump back. And I could, like, on a stationary four-wheeler just sitting there, I could just jump up and kick my feet back and get back on. And Kevin Allen's like, yes, do that. Absolutely. Do that over this jump.
Wait. Hold on. Before he finishes, Mitch, if you ever seen him do that, have you seen him do that on the ground where he throws his legs out on the ground and then puts it back on the floor?
No, I haven't seen. Okay. I haven't seen.
Well,
that.
the motion of muscle, you have to understand what goes on there. So he pushes himself off the bars, throws his legs back, and then he pulls himself back in to sit down really fast because
that's
the momentum
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's getting old. Yeah.
Now, hey, he can ride a road bike. No doubt about it. Okay. But I want to see this now.
Okay, so I'm going to let him finish his story.
Okay.
You've got to use muscles to pull yourself back in. Okay. I'm going to let him finish the story.
Okay. So Kevin Allen for years just goes, just jump back. And he's going off these sand dunes, just doing like knack-knacks and heel clicker. He's doing all this stuff. And I thought, well, if Kevin Allen can do it, I can do it.
Okay.
And we line up this dune, and I launch off this dune, and I just jumped back. And it's slow. I can remember it like it's yesterday. It's all in slow motion. My arms are fully extended. The bike is trying to run away from me, and I am trying to run off the back of it. My visor is touching the seat, like where your butt would go. My visor's touching the seat, so my belly button's right at the grab bar. Like I felt the little thing where the flag goes, kind of tickle my tummy a little bit. And I'm just hanging out, and I go, and I got to come back to that. So I'm just stretched out, and I'm like, this is not like Kevin Allen said at all. He just said jump back.
Jump back. And so at the last minute, I thought, my first thought was just let the bike go and just wad up in the sand. It's not gonna hurt. So was this before or after you were talking about that tickling your belly button?
It was tickling, and I thought, just let the bike go, and I'll just like do a somersault and roll off in the sand, and the bike will just go over there, whatever. And then I thought, no, don't wuss out, man. You got to do this. And so I pull myself back up, and I get my knees on the fender, and I land on the right shoulder, which has now been through therapy and everything else. Like I couldn't raise it. I tore something
as he
there.
points to his left shoulder. But
Wait, this one.
Yeah,
whatever. The left one.
The therapist in me is sitting across the table.
So
like that's
I
left.
pull myself and I get back on, and I'm like, yeah, I did a Superman, yeah. And what's funny is Bud is standing on top of the dune. Rylan has already gone over, and Kevin Allen's on the back side of the dune. And so Bud goes, yep, I see Daniel come. I'm thinking that's not going to work out. And then he lands it, and I'm just like, okay, he made it. And so Bud turns around to Kevin Allen to say, okay, you can go ahead and jump. And Kevin Allen's like, did he make it?
Yeah.
Is he alive? You're like, what happened?
He disappears. Like if you're looking at the dune, the guy standing at the top, when he goes, you see him in the air. And then when he disappears, he never brings himself back in as he goes behind the dune.
It was the ultimate hold. Like he had like a 3 times on the point scale. It was just
Coke
racking
and
up.
Yeah.
Because he was saying my belly button's tickling. He told
The whole time I'm going, this is not what
just
Kevin
come
Allen
back.
said.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Allen rides up there. My arm is killing me. And I said, you just said jump back. And he goes, no, you got to jump up and pull yourself back up. And I said, that's not what we never talked about the landing part of it. We just talked about getting there.
Oh, man.
And so from that day on, Super D. And so that's where I got my name, Super D. It was from the one Superman I have under my belt.
So
at the sand
Super
dunes.
D left the ground one time on a jump, maintained a perfect long-held Superman.
With like the body, my body was like 8 inches off the sand.
I've never done a Superman Super D. Super D.
There you
I
go.
love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
9.5.
You were just always
9.5.
Super D to me because you're just a super guy.
Well, yeah.
But there's a story behind it.
There is a story
and I
behind
know it now.
Yeah. I've got more to the stories we go. But yeah, so that is my one jump, the one motocross. Super confident, haven't jumped since.
Dang it.
We had good times.
Yeah,
That's for sure. Good
So
times.
back to Kevin Allen's story.
Okay,
so you
so-
go from motocross racing into the woods.
Yes. So I get off the Cannondale. The Cannondale actually gave up on me. It locked up. But imagine that if you don't change
Yeah.
the oil for a year, it'll lock up.
Who knew?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Lesson
I was a
learned.
young kid, didn't know a whole lot about maintenance. We just rode. That's all.
Send it.
Yeah, send it. That's right. So it locked up on me, and so my dad went and bought an 04 450R. And I rode it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have me one of these. And so I went to Sunrise, and I was like, hey, my name's Kevin Cleveland, and I want to own a 450R. And they were like, didn't your dad just come and buy one? I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're going to have a cosigner. And I'm like, okay. They slid the paper over to me. I went, Kevin Cleveland.
Next question.
And I brought it home that day. I mean, my name is his name, so I use his credentials, and I'm like, hey, I'm taking this to the house.
Yeah.
So I bring it to the house. Okay.
And Big Kevin's why's my credit score? What is happening?
He caught me. He was like, so what you do there? And I'm like, I went and bought me a new Fuller. I was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll pay for it. He's like, yeah, you're going to.
With your life.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a 450R. Okay,
Right.
so We didn't quite jump into the woods racing right at that moment. I actually went down to Jathan's. He powder coated a set of JBA arms for me.
Nice.
We bought some brand new zero preload PEP shocks.
I remember them.
We stuck them all over this thing, and I went arena cross racing.
Okay, so I thought you arena crossed on the Cannondale, but it was on the TRX. Okay,
Yep,
all right,
yeah. So we went arena cross racing. I got to race with some fast guys, Dallas Starr and Johnny Hale. I mean, I got to race with those guys, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun. There was a jump that scared the living bejesus out of me. We got to an arena in Tulsa over there, and they had an 80-foot gap. Like, you had to rub the wall coming out of the first turn to make the jump, and then when you landed, you rubbed the wall coming back
On
the
the
other way.
brakes.
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't jump that. So, but I still won. I won the outlaw class on Sunday.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody crashed out. So I beat them. But anyway,
Hey,
You were smart enough.
That's right. Smarter, not harder.
so but I could outrun them in the whoops, which was
So the
crazy.
key to motocross is not jump. Maybe I should ride motocross. Oh wait,
No,
that's arena cross.
No, you got to jump. You got to
Arena
hit the
cross.
jumps too. You
Right,
got to have
right.
good timing. You got to be like showtime. You got to be smooth. So
But your finishing move, the Superman,
Yeah.
will definitely steal the show.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no
Oh,
doubt
yeah.
about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, no matter what place you're in.
So do
okay,
some arena
so
cross.
did some arena
Yeah,
cross,
yeah.
got done with that, and then we went to the woods. So we get to the woods, and I put in probably about 2 good seasons in the woods.
Okay.
Changed everything off, took all the motocross stuff off. Well, I say that. Try to race the woods with motocross stuff on. That stuff doesn't work. You
I think
bend
I
tie
remember
rod
that.
ends, and you go over the bars, and you get these awesome bruises all over your chest and your stomach.
Yeah.
Hurts.
Have
It's fun.
them. Yeah.
So, but anyway, got the right gear, got the right stuff, put it all on the bike. We went racing. Done real good in the A class.
Yes.
And then I decided to move up to the pro class with you guys.
No, you were in pro class before I started. Because I remember you and Bud riding pro class.
Yeah, but I didn't ride the pro until after the couple of seasons in. I didn't just jump right in because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to keep up.
Oh, yeah.
So I hung out in the back for a little bit and then jumped up to pro class. And let me tell you what, any of the guys that I ride with, they can tell you I'm probably one of the fastest guys on the track for one lap. and I know somebody that can tell you that because I rode with Spencer Dickerson for one lap at Birds.
Birds, yes.
We
Yep.
took off, and I caught him, and I hammered him for a lap. I mean, guts a-flying. I was hanging on the handlebar so hard trying to keep up with him. And he kept looking back. Like, we would be going down the straightaway, and he'd turn and he'd be like, who is this? And he told me after we got done racing at the end. We got to the check station. He pulled over, and he was like, go. And I'm like, I'm going to the truck. I need to throw up. So,
Where'd the Gatorade?
yeah, so I went to the
Oh,
truck.
man.
He kept racing. Bud was at the truck, and he was like, "What's wrong, dude?" And I'm just like, I'm sick. Yeah, I'm sick. So I'm out. I'm done. That race fit. But I'm telling you, I had to ride that fast at that kind of level just to see if I could do it. Was awesome, but there's no way that I would have been able to keep that pace for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I'm telling you, dude, it doesn't matter what discipline it is. Motocross, TT, or cross country. But the guys that ride at the top, like the guy that finishes 10th in the pro class is still a bad dude on a four-wheeler, man.
There's no doubt.
You know, it's just...
The guy who finishes 19th and 20th is for the most part still a bad dude.
I'm just like, yeah. And so that's like... So that's how our pass cross was. Like, we really got to be buddies, you know, call each other, hey, here's my number, hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, our second trip to the sand dunes, Bud and I get lost. We're looking for each other. Like, hey, where's he at? Maybe he's over here. Maybe he's over here. Bud and I come around this tiny dune, both looking over our shoulders, hit each other head on. Like, maybe like second gear, third gear. Not fast, but fast enough that it mangled my frame. Like the front of it, right in front of the front motor mounts, it just made a hard left. And so what's funny about that story is Bud and I hit head on, and Bud somehow, Jedi, stays on the four-wheeler. I just launch over him and his four-wheeler and lay out in the sand, and I'm just laying there laughing my butt off. And I'm like, of course I would hit my friend head on that I'm looking for. Like, of course that would happen.
Yeah.
And Bud comes over there and he sits down and we're just laughing. Well, Kevin Allen rides up and he can't see us. He just sees these two mangled four-wheelers and sees me laying on the ground and Bud sitting there and he's like, my friends are dead! And so he runs over and we had a big old laugh about it. But from that,
the Super D frame was born.
the Super D frame in the TRX frames, right below the radiator, there's a little right triangle. There's a gusset and a little right triangle. And so Kevin Allen one year, my wheeler was at your shop, or we were going to do the frame and yada yada. And you said, "Hey man, I did your frame." And he did like the Superman logo, but instead of an S, it was a D, and it was in that little gusset right there. And you still have the frame somewhere. Yeah. And so, anyways, that's how we got to know each other, was cross country racing, and we raced together for years and still do, and have got to be good friends and Bud and yada yada yada. And so then let's get into the EDT world, because I got into cross country hot and heavy. Here we go, we're doing it, and then ended up, some things came up, life happened, I have kids, yada yada, and so I kind of took a step back from racing. I still had stuff. Now, Dad has never quit racing. He may have only done 1 or 2 a year, but Dad has never quit racing. And he decides that he's going to build a flat track bike, because they had put in a track somewhere and he had a buddy, something, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of went and did a couple of those with him. And then he ropes you in and says, you got to come try this flat track thing with me.
Russellville.
Yeah, the track would fit right here in the room we're in. Little small. You've been there, Mitch. You know,
fun little track.
Fun little track. No spot to breathe.
No.
Like you're just pumped up the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so you ride Dad's somewhat hodgepodge. Let's call it what it was. Good bike. I mean, good bike. You're laughing, but it was good, but it wasn't great. You ride it, and that was what, 2018, 19, somewhere in there, that range?
Yeah.
Maybe 20?
When was the 50th?
19.
19.
Yeah.
So it would have been 18.
18. And so you
what year? Interjecting. You went over there and raced at one point.
Yes.
17?
No, I think it was early 18.
Okay.
Early 18.
Yeah. Because I heard that I need to go out over there and race Super D.
Oh.
I just heard that.
Yeah. You would have blown my doors off.
So what'd you do to him over there? Did you set it like a track record?
No, I did not.
You left a mark on someone.
Well,
because they're like,
I need to pay someone.
Daniel came out of retirement and was flying over there. You need to go race him over there.
Yeah, well, no, that's... No.
Who'd you pay?
It sounds like I need to pay someone. So, back to Kevin Allen. Sorry, we're getting off track. This is a great time. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. You can always rely on me to take us.
I know.
Take a left turn when we should take a right.
Yeah. Like my right shoulder on the left side. Rush Mountmore.
Yeah.
So you go and ride the little track over there, and then I can remember Dad going, I'm going to get Kevin Allen into flat track racing. I was like,
so I didn't know this, but now I know.
And I go, oh, really? And he goes, yep, I let him take the wheeler home. And I was like, oh, boy. And so somehow Dad decides, I'm done flat track racing. But he wants to race, and so you get the flat track bike and then send a cross-country bike back home or something like that.
Yeah, we swap out. I build him a cross-country, and then he lets me keep the TT bike.
Okay. And so catch us up from there to where we are now. So you have that bike and go do some races, and then what happens from that point? Because like you have a team now, and we'll dive into that, and we're racing the nationals. So what happened from that first flat track four-wheeler to now?
Okay, so we get that four-wheeler. I go to a few races. Mitch shows up, which actually I showed up a few times on the bike we call Ashley's bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Speaking of neon, it's all neon.
It's
neon,
pink and green, corky pink. It's pretty awesome.
Almost
color.
Has neon lights on it.
Yes, almost. Yeah,
it glows in the dark.
Yeah. So only thing I don't have hydraulics. Other than that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Mitch shows up over there, and I show up on that, and I just throw some TT tires on it, and I told Jeff, I said, I'm just going to come over there and ride. And I was like, you think I need a sway bar? And he's like, nah, just show up. Mm-hmm. Well, I put tires on it. Well, it's already motocross set up. Mm-hmm. So it's already got the JBA arms and it's already stretched. But when I put the tires on it, it went that much further. And so I'm, probably 52 inches wide or something. When you're only supposed to be like 50.
Yeah.
But anyway, I show up. Tim Burkhart's there.
Yeah.
You're there. There's a few other pretty fast guys. Mitch and them were just dominating, but there were some pretty fast guys.
Right.
And I show up, and I'm like burning up the coattails. Right, Mitch is first, Tim's second, and I'm third. And I'm showed up on this motocross bike, and all these guys, when I first show up, it's hilarious because I drag the bike out, and they're looking at it, and they're like, "What's this motocross guy doing here? What's going on here? What are we doing?" And I get on the track, and I start pitching that thing and moving it, and there was this sweet line like where you come off the main part of the track where they started, you have to turn right and dip off down into the track. Well, there was a tire there that was about, I don't know, a 15-inch tire, 16-inch tire. I could take that motocross bike because I didn't have a sway bar, and I could lift the front right tire as I pitched in that corner, and I could just, I was making so much time killing them right there. And but I was just eating their lunches. The guys behind me.
Mitch protested you because you're too wide.
No, he was way out front. He was a good half a lap easy out front. So anyway,
it's a big board. Protest him.
Yeah. So we but no, I had a blast doing that. And then Jeff was like, "You need to get on a real TT bike." And I'm like, "Okay, well that's fine, no big deal."
Side note: I've never protested anyone ever in my life. I'm offended that you accused me of that.
He's offended. He's offended.
Mitch never knows.
He's offended.
I've been protested. It is nice to go home with that money.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
Yep.
So I wish we could get protested. That'd be great, but we're not fast enough to do that yet. So, but anyway, so we finished riding there. I get on your dad's bike, and I really turn it up and start riding that bike and start winning races and doing stuff like that. And no big deal. Now I did have a good wipeout the first time I actually did ride it.
Oh.
Ended up on my tail end, and the bike was out in the woods. And your dad was like, "You can't be teaching my bike bad habits like that."
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, I did that. Got the wreck out of the way, got back on track, and we were good to go after that. So, but okay, so we go from the little track, and then I figured out how dumb I was from not riding TT because I'm like, that was probably the funnest I've had in a long time. No offense to motocross, because I still will get on the motocross track today and ride it.
And with that being said, I love TT World, but I gotta rein Super D in every once in a while because I do have a love for motocross. Love racing TT.
Yeah.
But just as far as riding is concerned, like there's nothing like the feeling of just beating the mess out of your body and then flying through the air.
Oh yeah.
So
much fun. Much fun to be in there. That's why just being up there where you just feel like you're floating, and then all of a sudden you're back on the gas and on the ground.
Yeah. Sounds terrifying.
But anyway, we go from that, and my buddy Landon Williams, you heard Ryland talk about him.
Yep.
That's me and Ryland's real good friends. Landon, me and him's real good friends, and so I get involved with him, and we start talking to him, and he's like, "Well, we're going to go to Ashtabula. And while we're there, we're going to race this invite-only cross-country race." Because Ryland called me, and he goes, "Hey, I got you an invite to the cross-country race." I'm like, "That's 14 hours, man. That's a long freaking ways to go race cross-country." And he's like, "If you don't show up, I'm going to be mad because I got you an invite." Because he said it is an invite-only race. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there." So I made plans to be there. Landon was going to be there. We both brought our cross-country bikes. And we show up, we race. Well, lo and behold, Mitch is there, and he's racing, and he's got his practice bike, TT bike there, and he's like, "Landon, ride that practice bike." Well, Landon jumps on there, and he just, he goes out in fashion and just like beats a whole lot of guys that he really probably shouldn't have beat, but he beat them anyway.
Yeah.
And on a practice bike, on Mitch's practice bike, which I'm sure it was good bike.
Oh my. Landon and I have revisited this story. So when I say practice bike, it has got to be the most clapped out machine that I've ever owned in my entire life. Blowing smoke. The swing arm had a crack in it. It was literally the machine that, I'd ridden with the Keisters a little bit, and Dad said, "All right, we're getting back in it," and we just tried to find a machine that we could just get on as quick as we could.
Yeah.
And, looking back, I think it had on like some Fireball A-arms and swing arm.
Fireball.
It was really a piece of garbage. But I did have fun on it. But what had happened is I was kind of jumping it. I couldn't. It was a TT quad, but I'd made jumps and I was jumping it some and whatever. I didn't realize this at the time, but I was like, I knew Landon can ride whatever. That dude has some serious talent. And I was like, Landon, you can ride it. So he signs up for Pro Light. And when I'm saying this thing was underpowered, I mean, it probably had a 12.5 to 1 in it, but it was so, like, it needed to be rebuilt so bad. But he would pass like 3 or 4 guys on the infield,
yeah.
like places people weren't even passing. I'm talking a lap. And then 2 of them would just drive by him down the straightaway.
Yeah.
And this was in Pro Light, so I mean, legit builds, fast guys. And then here you go, and I was just losing my mind. Like I had a blast at the 50th. I had a blast racing, but I probably had better time there. And I realized like I can be a lover and a spectator of the sport, because before that I was always about like I like to watch racing, but I like to race.
Yeah.
But I was losing my mind watching Landon. Just I'm like, they don't know what he's riding.
Yeah.
Like I honestly started at that point. I was like, Dad, if we make a team, like, let's put Landon on a machine.
Yeah.
Because I bet in no time this dude would beat me. And I mean, you know, I'm not trying to put anybody else down, but I think Landon Williams is the best rider in Arkansas. Yeah. That is my opinion, and I was losing my mind. And I mean, there had to be witnesses around. Yeah. So I just leaned over, and they're like, "Who is that guy?
Who is that guy?
Why is it smoking so
What
much?
thing's smoking? It doesn't have graphics. The fenders are cracked. I don't even know if I surely had number plates on it for him. But
Don't know what kind of tires was on it.
I had to interject. I had worn that machine out, but that's, you know, we only knew when we got back into it. I motoed, you know. I mean, all the time. I just raced TT, but you motoed every day and you put laps in. Well, I didn't have a motocross track to do that, so I'd burn in a TT track at my house, and I would just burned out laps, getting ready for the 50th, trying to get myself in shape for it. And then, so that's what Landon had to ride. Let's just say, that machine, we put some serious work in it after that and got rid of it.
Yeah. There you go.
But we raced that. We were there. We raced cross country. Landon raced that, and then when I was watching him on track, I thought, man, I'm a big dummy. Why have I not been doing this? Because I mean, there was a track right here. I mean, you know, you had one in your backyard, and it's 45 minutes from my house, and I never showed up not once just to watch freestyle, and that was it. I'm like, I'm a big idiot. So anyway, we get to looking at that. So 14-hour drive home, I'm talking to Landon, and I'm like, hey. What would you say if I built you a TT bike? Would you ride it? He goes, heck yeah, I'd ride it. And I said, okay. So we get home. I said, well, I'll figure out what to do. And I've been working on this motor, okay? This is another story to this. I've been working on a motor for about 2 years trying to figure out how to make it work. And finally I figured out how to make it work. And when I did, this is where Junkyard Motors was born. And that's my motor side of my business. But anyway, I figured out how to marry an 0405 bottom end and put an 06 cylinder and top end on it. And so I had the best of both worlds. I had a good transmission that would hold up to anything, but then I had the power of an 06 motor, you know. So it was pretty awesome. We figured out how to do it and make everything work. And it was a lot of work. But once we got it together, we got back. I put it together. I put it together Friday night. We brought it over to Todd's house, Todd Perna. I don't know if you've introduced him on this podcast or not, but Todd Perna, real good friend of ours, brought it over to his place, and the first person to jump on it was your dad.
See, okay, all this is happening in the background, and Dad said, hey, we're going to go over to Todd's and hang out for a little bit. I said, oh, okay. I just went over there, and Dad just rolls this thing out and just and takes off down the road, and I was like, oh, he's just riding a four-wheeler. I didn't realize that this was the concoction you had mixed up, and Dad just like takes off, 60-year-old man, and he just disappears on this, motor or whatever, and I was like, oh. So that's funny that I'm putting that story together.
He takes it out on the blacktop, and he never lets off of the gas, and I'm thinking to myself, please don't blow up. Please don't blow up, because it took me 2 years to build it, and then I get it to that point, and then he just holds it wide open, and I'm thinking, well, if it holds up, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So he brings it back, and he was like, wow. He's like, that is one of the fastest motors I've ever rode. He's like, and it never quits pulling. He said it just always keeps pulling, and I'm like, well, that's great. Bud gets on it. He does the same thing. Holds it wide open, goes down the road. I tried to get you on it. You never rode it. I tried to get Chris on it. He never rode it, Chris Alexander. And then I rode it some. But that motor in particular, That's the motor that we put in, and we ran for not quite a season, but some. But we ended up putting almost 100 hours on that one motor.
And so, but this was the series you were running, the Midwest series, right?
Midwest series, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And this will be the first time we ever done it. It would have been, which we didn't. I don't think we even started at the first of the season. I think we just kind of jumped in. So I told Landon, I said, we'll get some stuff together, and I built another bike. So we had to, but by this time, I done had 40 TT tires. I had 3 different setups for a bike. I had all kinds of stuff overnight, just like that, because I told him if I was going to do it, we're going to do it. I'm just going to buy stuff, whatever we need to do it to. So we did it. So I bought everything. We got him set up. He started going to races, and he was fast. We just were missing the setup. So I'm going to be the first to tell you, I know nothing about TT racing. I thought if I lowered the bike down, put some TT tires on it, we put a sway bar on there and just kind of tinker it in a little bit, it would be good to go and you could fly. But yeah, was I dead wrong.
Right. We've joked about this too. You can have the greatest rider on a bad setup versus a not so great rider on the best setup, and that guy will win every time.
Oh yeah.
On TT.
On TT, it is a game
setup
changer.
is the key.
And that's the biggest thing. And for us learning that stuff, I mean, I'm still learning, and I'm sure that everybody else that's been in the thing in the TT racing style racing, they're still learning too. But the thing about it is, we're 10 years behind everybody else.
Yeah.
So, and they've been to these tracks, we haven't.
Yeah.
So we're trying to show up, and we're learning all this stuff overnight like that. Well, Landon, he jumps right into the pro class.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I mean, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna stir the pot, and we're gonna see what happens. You know. So anyway, we get in there, we start battling pretty good, and we come out. We race that first season, don't do just terrible, and he. I want to say it was the first season, and then the second season he ended up getting. Yeah, because we only raced, I'm pretty sure we only raced like a half a season the first season. Second season, we raced the whole season, and he actually ended up getting 4th overall in the pro class and 4th overall in the pro open class, and got rider of the rookie of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty good stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, coming out of a little rinky-dink shop in Arkansas that don't know anything about it.
And so what's great, I'm trying to find it, but the picture I posted the other day, a few weeks ago, of Damien, he's leading the race. I think he's riding for Jim Glenn at the time.
Yeah.
And Keister's in second.
Well, no. That was actually Nathan Wolf
That's right. Steve corrected me on that. Yeah. So it's Nathan Wolf, and then you, and then Landon is riding that bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool.
So we started with my motor, and we did not get through the season with it. Okay. So it made the beginning of the middle of the first season. Like, we just jumped in halfway. We raced what we could race. My motor made it to the end of that season, started the next season, and I had already 2 or 3 other motors built at that point in time. But we were having some valve train issues. So we, of course, like I said, I didn't know no better. We were using, the springs were, I don't know how you can say that. The springs weren't working fast enough, and so it was causing issues, and then it would break a valve.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were having issues with that. So I had one motor go down at the very first race we went to, raced the rest of the weekend with the second motor, and then like 2 races later, the second motor went down. Well, at that point in time, Ryland bought a setup from you, and he was actually going to build him a TT bike.
That's correct.
It was a DASA setup.
Yes.
And so Ryland called me, and he said, what's the deal with you and your motors? And I said, man, I'm having issues right now. I'm trying to get it all lined out. I said, I don't really know. He said, well, I got this set up. He said, I will sell it to you. That way you can get it put in so you can use it. I said, I'll take everything you got. So I bought everything from him. We brought it in. We stuck it in Landon's, and we finished out the season with that DASA motor.
Top of the line.
So once we got that done, we finished up that season, and then we started the I guess it'd be, was that last season?
The 21 season?
21?
Yeah, because I want to say you jumped in the end, maybe end of 19, and then y'all raced all of 20, and that would have led you up to 21.
21, yes. Yeah. And then, so we raced that. It may have been we jumped in the middle of 20, and he because I'm pretty sure he got Rookie of the Year on 21.
On 21, okay.
On 21, yeah. And then
yes, you're right.
Yeah,
because in this beginning of 22,
yeah. And then we started that this season. He broke, and then Landon ended up having a crash in practice and broke both of his wrists.
Yeah.
So, and that really sucks because I mean, man, you got that feeling where you just can't do nothing for them. I mean, you want to do everything you possibly can for somebody, and you're just like, I can't. I mean, there's nothing I can do. And I seen it happening. I mean, he come around the corner. It was just like it was yesterday. He pitched it in there, clipped the tire, and I mean, before he could even think about it, he had his hands out just like this. And I'm thinking, that's broke wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that picture you're saying.
Sorry, I've been looking at the whole time to find this picture and I finally got it.
So he's healing up. He's healed up now. He's good. He's still got a little work to do. But he actually rode last weekend. We got one of my new motors out. We rode it, testing, tuning it, getting it ready for this season. But I've got a new rider, Ethan Reagan. He's going to ride a bike this year, and Jeff Hillian is going to ride a bike of mine. And I've got
talk you out of it.
Yeah, I've got 2 more bikes that I'm building. I don't know, and I'm kind of with Mitch on this. I have a whole lot of fun sitting on the sidelines and watching. It's a lot more fun than what I thought.
It's a different ballgame,
isn't
it? I didn't ever think that I would get to that point because I just love racing so much. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like at Pine Lake, I had a blast helping all y'all.
Yeah.
You know, just watching beside and just like tweaking on things. And it all is kind of coming together for me. You know, things that I think I really missed when I was actually out there on the track. You know, I could feel a lot of things, but now just kind of seeing it and knowing, oh, well, here's a little adjustment that need to be made. And I think Rylan spoke to that a little bit, and then Thomas has told me that quite a bit. You know, since he's gotten out of the racing world, he's like, man, just from the sideline and knowing and being able to analyze things, it's different, you know, and it's safer.
Definitely safer.
That's kind of where I'm at in life. But
well, that cross country race we went to a couple weeks ago, it had a little motocross track, and I was talking to Landon last Saturday, and he said, "Did you hit all those jumps?" I said, "Landon, I had to preach the next day." He goes, "Oh man, it's fine. You can jump them on." I'm like, "Nope, rolled everything."
Yeah, rolled everything.
I think Rylan and Mark have gotten on to Landon quite a few times. Like, he'd just come through and hit stuff. They're like, "Did you even look?" He's like,
"That's what
no."
he said. He said, "No, I didn't even look."
No, just like approaching the face, carry some momentum, and just go on with it. Like, Landon, come on, dude. But I mean, that just further speaks to the dude's talent. Like, just natural talent. I mean, I know they spun a ton of laps, and I'm about to turn this into the Landon Williams show. But just, you know, I haven't ever even really told him that, so I guess he'll kind of hear that on here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I love me some Landon. But,
Landon, you can mail your check to P.O. Box.
That's right, Landon.
From top-of-the-line athletes to weekend warriors, 110% Nutrition has the supplements, the knowledge you need to take your fitness to the next level. They are now the title sponsor of the NEEDT series for the 23 season and work with some of the top pros in the sport like Aaron Medlin, Brad Riley, and Amateur Rider of the Year Tanner Terry. Check them out on the web today and make sure to use our code REMAIN at checkout for a discount. Work with the guys that support the sport that we all love. 110% Nutrition.
Kevin Allen, man, I had a question in here because you have a love for the TRX engine that is psychotic. Because everyone else, and we've talked about it on here, and you said you're crazy, you know, and we've joked about it. But you've got a great platform to get going. But there is a love for the TRX. I mean, it was your, like, when you came to flat track, like, so I still have a love for the 400EX because when I first started flat track, and that's what I rode. I don't want to ride one, I don't want to race one, but I still have a little love there. But man, you're just like, why? I mean, we have this love for the TRX platform.
Well, you gotta. Let me just put it this way: poor man's got poor ways.
Okay, you're preaching my language now. I'm here.
So when you've got like 15 TRXs sitting out there in your boneyard, and you're like, what are we gonna do this season?
Yeah. By the way, I need an axle.
So you look out in the back of your shop and you're like, this one's got the best stuff on it right now. Let's get that stuff and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of it. Like there's no telling. I probably got, just guessing, I probably got $30,000 worth of TRX stuff just sitting.
Well, let's blow it up.
So
put it on the podium.
That is exactly what I would do. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to sit across the table from you because I'm a hybrid guy. I love hybrids, but for me, I spent years on the TRX, but for me, I could put a TRX motor under me and blow up 3, which I did in a matter of about 35 minutes worth of motos as I got back into motocross. Because we're trying to run them with 12-to-1 pistons, and they weren't very powerful. And for us, it was like, well, why not spend the $4,000 and get a motor that I can run, hundreds of hours on, and the upfront cost. I didn't have 30 TRXs around. We did have probably 6 or 7 motors floating around. Because that's what Dad does. When he goes in, he goes in. So
when he's in, he's in. When he's out, he's out.
We had new stuff. Yeah, when he's out, he's out. But for us, the side of the argument was, it's like, do you want me to put a TRX on here and I'm gonna have to build it up a little bit to challenge you a little bit while you're motoing, but I'm gonna have to rebuild it every couple of weeks. Yeah. And then we look at that and we're like, well, race engines we're rebuilding for $4,000 or $5,000, and anyway, it was just like, to us, we're like, by the end of the season, we're money ahead to go to just go all hybrid, and so that was what we did. And then once I rode the hybrid, Russ had bought that motocross bike that was built by Baldwin, a nice Pro-Am motor, and I went out and rode it actually with Thomas. We went to this little private track and rode, and Thomas was on his stock YFZ 450, and so he was when he was in the top of it in motocross, so he was wanting to outmoto me, which I matched him. Okay, maybe even beat him a little bit on a fully built machine. He was on a bone saw. He was on his,
but I beat
his stock YZ. Yeah. But it was his timing for that. But I got off there too, and I went. I went home to Dad and I said, I can't race carbureted anymore. I'm like, I'm so spoiled. It's almost it. I would have had to relearn because carbureted, you have to race it so different. You almost have to ride it like a 2-stroke, and got so used to just like always being in the right gear with the fuel injected. So anyway, that is, I'm not a TRX hater. Okay, I know I put it out there like maybe I am. That's not it because I've spent years on the TRX, but it's known that I'm a hybrid guy, and that's why.
I have to roll it back a little bit because I actually do have a hybrid in my horse stable.
You did?
I do. I bought it from Russ. It is a JB build. It's got a KTM 450 motor on it, and Landon actually put quite a bit of races down on it. Yeah. Whenever we was racing that Dassa motor, he raced it several times, but he also raced the hybrid several times too as well. So I can't give all the credit to the TRX motor for getting him where he was in that season, because the hybrid definitely put him up there too.
Yeah. But he had some excellent finishes on the TRX. There's no doubt about it.
He podiumed on the TRX. He never podiumed on the hybrid.
There you go.
That's exactly where I was going with that. So.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. I'm just giving you a hard time. But,
I understand.
You're the guys you've got in your corner, man, have really put in a lot of work on those TRXs, and it'll be cool to see what Mr. Ethan can do with one this year.
You got to hear the new one.
Oh, I have, yeah.
I might even have caught you looking down underneath the plastic just to see if there wasn't a throttle body there.
Yeah, and so
I'll tell you one thing: you keep the best company, dude. You keep some good company. I like Landon, Ethan, and his crew.
Well, and what's crazy? So all this is happening. Rylan and Kevin Allen are building bikes and getting stuff going for the GNCC world. And then they called me one Sunday afternoon and they said, put us down for the Builders Brawl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So, and this, all I know is Mitch at Benton, Missouri in August, we'll have a machine that's RJR ATM built They won't tell me what motor. It'll be a TRX platform. That's it. I've tried bribing Ryland's daughter with candy, and nothing.
Is it going to make a difference if you know ahead of time, though?
Probably not.
Hey,
Probably not.
I'm just curious to see how many brands we get together here.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel Honda, all Honda-ish in nature, but I'm looking forward to it.
It's
Kawasaki.
It's going to be
good.
it's gonna be exciting.
We're going to have aluminum frame Kawasaki
No, just
with a TRX motor with the LTR front end, and this is going to be fun.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hey, I want to switch gears just for a second, guys.
Go for it.
So, Kevin Allen, I just want to say thank you for all your time, today, but stepping up and helping Dylan at Moto Church and everything you've done there. We know
That's
you're
my
a
next.
man.
That's
Hey,
my next question.
I was screen peeking. No, not really. I was on the other side here. But man, to me, that's really what led me back into racing. Love racing with a passion, but I love Jesus more than I love anything. And so I want to bring Jesus along, and just how you just had his back, and you just stepped up and really helped in the EDT world with the Moto Church. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your plans going forward with that?
So the question was, what's your position in EDT Church, and what are the plans for 23?
Position is I am the yes man. Here I am, send me, as the Bible preaches. So if Dylan is good with it and he keeps rolling, I'll be there to support him whatever he wants to do. My biggest thing is we're gonna go to the races, and if I'm there, I'm gonna help. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if we've got to rebuild a motor. Whenever we have ED Church, I will be there. It's happening. We can't go through this life without Christ, or we shouldn't go through this life without Christ. He's the only reason why we get to enjoy all these things that we do. So why not take a moment to just, realize that, we're in awe of him, and he is holy and great and wonderful, and he does everything for us, And so with that being said, I mean, I'm sure Dylan will be listening, but Dylan normally heads up the deal. But man, with the relationship that I have with Dylan, that's new to me, because I don't normally go out of my comfort zone to meet people. And whenever I showed up to ED Church, he was like, I'm gonna head this up, and I'm like, hey, can I tag along and help? And it just blossomed into this relationship we have. And I mean, I would like to say that he calls me a good friend, and I definitely would call him a good friend. And like I said, most of the time, 80-95%, we're on the same page. I mean, we're thinking the same stuff. I mean, he spits out something and I can almost finish a sentence, Yeah. So it's good. I mean, we learned a lot with each other, and things that we've taught. And I mean, he's called me and said, hey, this is what we're going to do for ED Church. Well, what do you think about that? And I'm like, well, that's awesome. And then add this to it. And he was like, oh yeah, we'll use that too, And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, anytime that there's anything going on with God and the gospel and preaching, I'm in it. I want to be there, especially around the racing community, because there's just not enough of it. These guys, they come to the races. Don't get me wrong. We all come to hang out. We have fun. We want to win. But the thing about it is you need to have a center, and the center is Christ.
Yeah.
And you got to have that, or we're not going to have anything. You're just out there, just blowing your tires off, basically.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Looking for the next satisfaction or the next win, which wins are great, and those things are all great. But just kind of a thought that came to mind, like kind of what connected you and Dylan, it's people living in the Spirit. You connect yourself with one another. Well, you don't. The Spirit is what connects you and pulls you together. Yeah. And I know to people who maybe aren't believers or people who aren't living by the Spirit, they're like, I mean, this is madness y'all are talking. But we're three guys that know, that's what connects us. Even though we have a passion for racing, it's ultimately the Spirit that has led each of us to bring our paths together. And what's drawing you towards Dylan as well. I mean, I spent years of my life not walking in the Spirit, and and I hate to say it, but quenching the spirit, and just living for myself. And there were fun moments. But not fulfilling life and life to its fullest like it is now.
Yeah.
And those are those moments like, wow, that's why we do this podcast. That's why we do the church thing and go to the races. I'm not equipped to do that, but you're called to. Mm-hmm. We're all given, as followers of Christ, we're supposed to go disciple people. And so I just knew that I had to do that. And I'm saying it wasn't me. It was just the Spirit was tugging at me so bad that I couldn't say no. And the blessing that's come through all that. All right, I'm not trying to preach to y'all, but just like for the listener out there, like this is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. This usually I kind of stay back to myself. I stay in my own groups, but you're just like immediately drawn to Dylan, and you are kind of finishing each other's thoughts. It's all the Spirit. It's speaking truth. It's attesting. You're attesting to what he's saying, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And so that's the importance of building this community within a community type thing. Mm-hmm. We want people who are Jesus followers at these races to be connected to each other so that we can build each other up, we can encourage each other and live life. And people who aren't, we want to bring that message to them, like, we want you to experience this as well, not just eternal life. We want you to have eternal life and be made right with God, but we want you to have that relationship now that Spirit comes in you and just begins to transform the way you view and live life, and the way it blesses you, the way it blesses other people, and on and on. So,
well, I'd like to add to that. I don't know. Of course, you probably hung out with more people, and then you had lots of relationships at the track before. But the thing that I guess shocked me the most was when I showed up to the EDT world. There's people out there that don't get around, that don't talk to people, but 90% of the people that were there, it's like, you just wave and they're like, hey, how's it going and what's going on? Now, when you get to start talking about setup and all that stuff, it gets a little more grittier. But as far as just down to earth people that just hang out, have a good time, they got your back, you got their back. If you need something, they're there. I'll tell you one guy in particular, and I don't know if you guys know him, but his name is Adam Smith. That dude, mm-hmm. I didn't even know that guy, and I guarantee you he would have gave me the shirt off his back.
Yeah,
he's pretty amazing guy. His son, same way. I got to meet him and hang out with him and just learn him over the years that we've been there so far. And man, it's just, like I said, just hanging out with a group of guys and just getting to know one another, and basically it's just like another family.
It is.
And it's pretty awesome to have that there.
Yeah, the ATV world is definitely a family. We might be out for each other, and there might be some side enemies out there, but for the most part, everybody's got everybody's back. They'll jump in there and help you out however. You
need a part or a tire or a spark plug, whatever, man. Someone's going to be, hey, I got one.
Breakdown on the way home, people going out of the way or knowing hey, my friend lives in this state or this place, just people have each other's back. And
that's it.
I was telling y'all that Jody and Debbie are on the way up here.
Yeah.
And my parents from PA, but they're down in motocross in Texas, and they're going to stop by and see us.
Yeah.
It just connects you to all over the place,
Yeah.
So,
well, hopefully we can connect with them. But man, kind of our last question here, Kevin. Every path you're on, from the motocross days to the cross country days,
I think this is getting more derogatory.
This
better be an important question.
It is. So all along the way, your faith gets tested. I think everybody agree with it. Especially when you have careers and a spouse and kids. You're always being tested. So how has God used those times to grow your relationship with Christ? This is a racing podcast, but
This is a racing, Jesus loving podcast.
That's right. So, since we've been friends and got to know you, man, on the outside looking in, it seems like Moto Church has really allowed you the opportunity to be a little more bold in your faith, because a lot of people, you hang out with the same group of people, they're your friends, you go to dinner with them, you work with them, and I get into that groove too, even here at church. You hang out with this group, you do this, but then when you go to the races, especially like being new to the scene, it kind of forces you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So how would you answer that? Like how do you feel like that's kind of grown your relationship with Christ?
Well, I do think that it's got me out of my comfort zone, like you said. There's things that probably I would have never done, and that I've done, and but there's things that I'm still working on, still a little sketchy, still like, should I approach or should I not, or should I throw my 2 cents in, should I not? But that's, praying to God and asking to make sure that that's something that he would want me to do, and being bold. It tells you in the Bible that we're supposed to have an answer for whatever we get asked, and biblical answer be good for that.
1 Peter 3:15, always be willing, always have an answer to give a reason for the hope that I gotta look it up. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So, that's one of the things. Nobody's going to have every answer. That's not how it works. But God does.
Right.
So, if we do, use the Bible and we read it and study it and do what it says,
but do this with gentleness and respect.
Yes, exactly. Meekness. Yeah, that's right.
3:15. Yeah.
So, but yes, so it's got me out of my comfort zone. I talk to more people, which my wife can tell you I've been a social butterfly ever since. I've never met a person that's been a stranger, but that's a little off. My dad, he's a politician. Not really, but he likes to be. He can talk to anybody. But it's just loving the relationships that you come in contact with. The relationships that I've had with even my friends like you and Landon and Mitch, and just the people that, we were friends. But the thing about it is it's actually brought us closer together. We've learned more from each other. We've learned more about each other. There's things that I've learned that I didn't know, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that other people don't. My team that I have that's backing me, there's guys that I didn't know a whole lot about. Well, man, I know a whole lot more about them now. When you take somebody out of state and you stay with them for a weekend, you learn a lot.
Yeah, and you're packed in a truck with them. Oh yeah.
You just kind of, you're like, we got 14 hours. Well, we better talk about something, or this is going to be a bad trip.
Like we gotta come up with something, or Papa Bear's going to tell us the same story he told us 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the great part about it is Christ has always put you in a situation where you're going to learn something, and that's what I love about it. Yeah. Because I'm always learning. I'm always trying to turn over a new leaf or a different page so I can figure out what's going on and where He's got me going. And I may not know that. I may not know exactly where He's got me going, but I'm going to try to have fun and enjoy it while I'm doing it.
Yep.
So
that'll preach.
Yeah. So
we always like to conclude an interview with who do you like to thank? So you want to thank yourself, ATM Motorsports,
This dude's pretty selfless.
Yeah.
I knew Kevin Allen was selfless, but you think about just what he stepped out there and done with all these steps, dude. You are a humble, selfless guy, Kevin Allen, and I know you, but I feel like I know you now.
Yeah.
Just from your I look up to that. I'm not as humble and selfless as that. I'm working on it.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's. There's a lot of people that say that. One of the things that I've heard a lot of people say is I can change a mood in a room like that when I walk in, and I may be able to do that. I sure don't want to do that, but hey, that may be one of the talent that God's gave me that I can do that. If it's bad situation, I can turn it good.
Hey, I tell all my students, as much as I can, 2 things: you were created on purpose for a purpose, and number 2, like you're wired the way you are for a reason. Like use that to bring glory and honor to God. Because if we were all the same, it'd be a really boring world.
Dull, yes.
Yeah. So sounds like that's your gift. So use that gift.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing, like you said, talking about people that I want to thank. It's funny because growing up, it was God for sure, Jesus Christ, and then mom and dad, and then pretty much anybody after that. It's kind of like a privateer. You just I wanted to, and that's kind of pride talking, and that's God has worked on me big time with that. But I wanted to do it. I didn't want anybody's help. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be the guy that when you show up to the track, they was like, that guy ain't got no help, but he's flying. I wanted to be that guy. But I've learned that it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You got to have help. So Jesus Christ for sure. Mom and Dad, my wonderful and beautiful wife, my family, Bud. He calls himself a stepping stone. He's been there. He's my brother from another mother. He's been there. Anytime that I ever need him, he's the guy I would call.
Right.
Of course, Rylan at RJR and all his glorious many of contacts he has. I mean, there's, Micah, Axis, and Baldwin, and Walsh, and just, everybody. Race Tech Titanium. I mean, he's got every contact known to man. I mean, he's came a long ways from the kid I used to know when I was growing up.
I agree.
And then, of course, I can't leave out his dad, Mark. Mark, man, he's been there every step of the way. He's one of the reasons why I started working on ATVs, believe it or not. But I used to buy parts from him all the time, talk to him every day when I could. Learn so much from him from business and different things. And then, of course, your dad.
Oh boy,
he's pushed me some. He's the one that definitely throwed my pride in the dirt at Ashtabula.
He did. I watched it. It was great.
And that's just stuff I need to learn, which hey, don't get me wrong, I needed it. So that's perfect. Crankworks, I've been working with them the last couple of years with all the stuff we've been doing with these crazy TRX motors, changing them inside and out, making them what we want them to be. And then last but not least, Jeff Brown. He is a mad scientist behind it all, Mr. CEO.
Yep.
He helps me with
the quiet assassin.
Yeah, he helps me. I come up with an idea, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this will work, and he makes it happen.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's a machinist guy.
Yeah.
Can build, turn.
We actually got a machine guy. His name's Jimmy, but they've worked together. They've both been machinists. But Jimmy does a lot of our machine works, and I better say his name because I can't leave him out. He's one of the reasons why we're still working together. But Jeff, man, I'm telling you, he can. I mean, we can throw some stuff in a motor that you wouldn't think is supposed to be in a motor, and we can make it work. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Well, man, I appreciate you giving some time here. Easter is a Sunday night of Easter that we're recording this. And so, final thoughts before we catch a final pit stop? No? All right. Well, hey, y'all stay with us. I hope you enjoyed this with Kevin Allen. We'll be right back.
Hey, here at Remain in the Race, we're all about Rylan Johnson Racing. For all of the aftermarket needs, from grab bars and bumpers to heel guards to complete custom builds, give them a visit at RylanJohnsonRacing.com.
Hey man, again, just want to give a big shout out to Kevin Allen for coming over, and he's our first interviewee that's like, no, I'm not doing this on Zoom. Now, granted, he definitely lives closer than North Carolina, Mitch, but good to have him come over and hang out with us tonight.
Absolutely, great time. What a humble, selfless guy. Just thankful to be connected with him. Just great stories. A good. A real time, but a funny time at times, and then all of us here in the studio getting to pick on each other a little bit. And anybody who can gang up with me to pick on you is definitely welcome anytime.
I see what's happening now. Well, I can thank Kevin Allen. I still cannot sleep with my left arm above my head because of whatever happened to that shoulder of the super. Yeah, just jump back, man. Just jump back. And it's like, oh, there's more to it than that, But
the fact that you never really left the ground and you're willing to try to do a Superman with the first time you did leave the ground, I always thought you were a pretty intelligent guy. You really thought things out. But in that moment, that's usually more of the things I do. Do first, think later. Yeah. I think you had a Mitch moment. And,
the lip of the dune was good, and hey man, yep, just jump back. And boy, I did, and it was. What was funny was I can remember Kevin Allen. He comes flying over, and of course my arm, I had to cut myself out of my jersey. I couldn't lift my arm up, and but Kevin Allen said I was at the bottom, and I see Bud on the top of the dune. He's motioning okay, come on, okay, you wait, okay, come on. And he said, and I see you go over the dune, and you're still stretched out, and you watch. I watch Bud's head. It goes from left to right, and then it wait, and then he said, "Bud, no emotion." Like, not like double fist, like, yay, he made it. But he just looks back at me and goes, okay, come on.
He's like, he's cleared the landing
Did
pad.
he make it? Is he alive? You know, he's like, well, I don't know. But, yeah, man. Kevin Allen did a lot, especially on that frame, that Super D frame. Like, I hit Bud head on, and I'm like, man, I got to buy me a frame or whatever. And then I go back over to Kevin Allen to start taking apart, and there's me a frame sitting there. And Kevin Allen's like, well, I was bored, and I put this together for you. And I was like, oh, dude, so yeah, I can't thank him enough. And you know, when we were going to do some racing last year, we were going over to a little practice track, and you said, hey, Kevin Allen has the twin to my bike, the KTM
that's right.
hybrid. Go ride it, get some laps in on it while we're getting your bike ready to go. And then when we go to that first race, you'll kind of know what you're getting into. And so,
Absolutely.
oh, man, good times. Again, can't thank Kevin Allen enough. And, hey, and if you're in the central Arkansas area and you need your stuff worked on, man, hit him up on Facebook, All Terrain Motorsports, or Kevin Allen Cleveland. And the reason he's Kevin Allen is because his dad is Kevin also.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have Kevin and Kevin.
That's right.
So there's Kevin, Big Kevin, and Big Kevin is like your size, Mitch. He's not big at all.
He's
Little guy. And then
was that a jab?
No. I'm just saying.
Oh,
you
it's okay.
think Big Kevin, you're thinking some big burly guy.
Okay.
And then you see Big Kevin, you're like, well, you're not big at all.
But older Kevin.
Old Kevin, not as old Kevin, but no, Big Kevin, Kevin Allen, but his name is Kevin Allen Cleveland. And what's funny about that is the first time my wife and Kevin Allen's wife hung out, you know, they're talking, hanging out, you know, and they're friends now. But Emily, a few weeks later, was saying, hey, I've been texting Amber Allen. And I said, who's Amber Allen? And she goes, Kevin Allen's wife. I said, Amber Cleveland. She goes, no, Amber Allen. And I said, no. So there's Big Kevin, and then there's Kevin Allen. Their last name is Cleveland. She goes, that doesn't make any sense, you know. I said, I know, it's complicated. But anyways, hey, again, thanks to Kevin Allen for coming over and hanging out with us. But, hey, thank you again to all of our listeners. You know, again, thanks to David Wortham over there, man. He hooked me up. I was in a jam, and he bailed me out. So thank you to ChiefMotorsports. Excited to ride one of their machines. I just got a picture tonight of
All right.
of a Yamaha. So the cat's out of the bag there. We'll be riding a Yamaha this year. 110% nutrition. We'll be interviewing AJ and Aaron Medlin on episode 24. That's going to be a good time.
That's going to be fun.
You know, it's so funny talking about Jody and Debbie, and they're probably at your house right now.
They are.
You know, so excited. Hopefully I can sneak over there and visit with them a little bit, maybe tomorrow night or something. You know, we'll figure it out.
They'll be around a day or two.
Oh, yeah. And then again, Rylan, man, thanks for everything. And thank you to all you listeners for giving us the time and tuning in. So we'll be posting some funny pictures. I got some great pictures of Kevin Allen. We'll be posting those here this week. So
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. What a good time.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's Checker Flags out on 23. So we will catch you in the next one. So thanks for listening.
We're really doing it, and it's because of you, all of our loyal listeners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you've subscribed, we appreciate it. If you're sharing our stuff on social media, thank you to each and every one of you. We encourage you to subscribe, give us a like, give us a review, because we want to get better, and you guys help us do that. So thank you again, and we will catch you in the next one.